Hello, my name's Tom, and in this video I'm going to attempt to show you how to polish a turd in Reaper. So first example, which needs some editing, is just a section of fretless bass. I'm not really a bass player. The bass cost me £40, about $50. I'll play it to you and you can see what's wrong with it. Okay, so there's obviously a lot of string noise here, which hopefully we can do something about. Also a little bit of noise here you can just see before you're supposed to start playing, so it's easy to get rid of. Just go there, just highlight it, cut selected area of item, and just remove it completely. It's that simple. This bit of noise here isn't so easy to see, so what we can do is we go to View, we go to Peaks Display Settings, then you select Spectrogram. I'll just expand it to make it easy to see, and you can see it, the noise was around this area here. So there's a lot of, all this stuff here is noise in the background. So what I'm going to do is if I right click here, select it, then you go to Spectral Edits, add spectral edit to item, and you get a little box around it. So I'm just going to try and do the box up to the edge of where the actual main playing is. So you can do it just over and then you can fade it in. Bring it up to here. I'm going to move it up slightly from the bottom because you don't want to remove everything on the bottom, because otherwise it will just sound kind of cut off and hacked out. So do a bit of fading here. This is just to fade it in and out. And the most important one, just for gain, these are compression. You can use these as well, but this is fairly straightforward. So I'm just going to do gain. So basically just turning it down in the range other than the very bottom. So hopefully get rid of all these noise, string noise. So yep, so that pretty much seems to have done it on that. I'll just play it, I'll just check it again. You want to do it really the minimum amount, so if I turn it up a little bit, yeah, I've turned it up a bit, then when you do hear the noise. So I'm just going to turn it down. That seemed to be about right. So I'll just try again. Yeah, so that's fine. It's not completely silent, but if it just cut out, that would sound a bit odd. Okay, so I've got another example I'm going to show you, and on this example it's guitar. I'll stretch it right down so it makes it easy to see. So the problem with this is that I've just been catching the low strings. It's a 7-string guitar, so it's quite easy to do that. And it's just like rumbling noises in the background, and you can hardly hear it if it's just a clean guitar, but with the effects, or if you've got a lot of distortion or anything like that, it tends to get amplified. So I'll just play it so you can hear what's going on. Okay, so if you're listening with good headphones or decent speakers, you probably just hear this little rumbling sound. So again, right click on it, go to Spectral Edits, add Spectral Edit to item. That's going to move it so it begins here. I'm going to drag it all the way across this whole section. Okay. I'm going to move it down. It's just, I know it's going to be on the bottom frequency somewhere. And I'm going to move it up just very slightly on these. See if I can just catch it. You don't want to completely remove it. And then turn the gain on here. I don't need to bother fading with this. I'll just see if that's caught it. Oh, hang on, these bit, you look at it here, you can see this is a bit higher than I want. This might be a bit much. I'll just try it. I think it might be a bit more than you actually need to remove. So I'll try it now and see. It has cut it out, but I'll see if this is better. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, don't want to cut it. It removed a bit of the bass too much when I cut it out that much, but this bit has just managed to remove the bits I didn't want. So it's basically like multi-band compression. So that is something where you could just use multi-band compression and focus it on a particular range and do it for the whole one. But with the fretless bass example, that would be a bit trickier because you could use multi-band compression, but you would also need to automate it on every single section you wanted to do, and it would be a lot of fiddling around. But doing it this way gives you just an easy way to see it if you use a spectrogram. So I'm going to switch this back now to just normal peaks, and then I'm going to show you a different example. So this one is just going to be some editing of MIDI. So whenever you start editing like this, people constantly say, oh, you can't polish a turd or whatever. And to a certain extent, that's true with real instruments like guitar, bass and drums. You can perfect it, you can remove imperfections, increase little bits of timing, which I'll show you in a bit. But with actual MIDI instruments, whether it's keyboards or drums, you pretty much can polish a turd. You can pretty much just put in anything just to capture an idea to start with and then sort it out. So I'll just play you a quick example of this, and then I'll open up the MIDI. So if you want to open up your MIDI and edit it, just double click on it. Just use the mouse wheel just to expand it a bit. So each of these correspond with a note. You see the length of it here, you see the volume on these peaks here, so you can change these. Some of these aren't quite consistent, so I can stretch these out just a little bit. This bit seems a bit short, so I can just stretch that out. If you double click on any one, you'll just delete it. This one here seems a little bit higher than the others. I'm just going to move that down a bit in volume. Okay, so play it now, and it's just going to be a bit more even. Actually, I'll move this step a little bit across as well when I'm doing it. Okay, so you can pretty much move these notes about. So you could just move this note down here, move them about, change them, change their length. And what you can also do is you can just do edit. You can select all of them, and then you can quantize and then humanize it to a certain extent. If you quantize it completely, it will just sound very unnatural. You can then humanize it, but it still sounds unnatural, really. It really doesn't work. It's better to just play it and then just change any imperfections yourself. And another thing you can do is, if you want to try different pitches, is transpose it. So if I wanted to say, you could just move it up 1 or 2 semitones, but if I want to move it up a whole octave, I could just select all, do 12. So it's 12 chromatic notes. Play it now and you'll see. Yep, sounds terrible. So I'll change that back. Transpose. I mean, just to go down, you just do minus. So that's back how it is. So now I can just play it again. Okay, so once you've played a part once, you can always just copy and paste. You can move it about to other bits. You can add in variations. You've got the MIDI. You can then try all different types of instruments even. So you could just record it on the keyboards and then choose various VSTs, various sources to trigger it, and you can mess about as much as you want. So if you're dealing with MIDI, you really can not so much polish a turd, it's just completely write it in MIDI. So the next example is just a bit of guitar again, and this is an example where timing isn't perfect, so I'll just play a bit to you and you can see. Okay, so it's not too bad. You can see from the peaks here, this bit's slightly behind. I think I'll just put that down to feel. You're always going to be slightly ahead of the beat if you're playing chords, because the beginning of a chord is always going to be slightly ahead of the last note, and also you've got pick attack, and if you don't have that pick attack, it'll just sound weird and natural. It'll just sound cut off, not like proper guitar playing. But what I'm going to do is this bit here is just a bit too far forward of a note. So what I'm going to do is you can select it like that, right click, split items at time selection. Then you'd go nudge set items, and what this will do, you can move it left or right by however much time is here. So I'm going to move it across to the right. I'm going to get it, say, the peak out there. So this is just mixed these together where it's red. They're just fading in together, and I have to slide this across just so you haven't got a gap. This should flow quite easily because this is all the same note and it's quite quiet anyway. And here, if you had big variations in volume and you did it, then it would sound obviously edited. Hopefully I'll just play this and it should just fit in. It'll just be slightly improved timing. Yeah, so I think that's okay. Okay, so this was just a start to give you some of the ideas of what you can do with editing to improve performances. If you like it, I've got some other videos on YouTube which might be worth checking out. So thanks for listening and cheers.